Yo, yo, yo. Welcome in, golf fans, to the Preferred Lines podcast program live stream. My name is Joe Idoni, and I have been waiting for at least a year for the 124th playing of the U.S. Open at Pinehurst Resort. I am so fired up about this week. I've done as much digging into the course as I've ever done. I've got a great guest to join me. Thank you for checking out the show. Let's go.
Well, 9 iron for him. They're going to go nuts when he hits this thing.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
U.S. Open Week, tucked inside the big southern pines of North Carolina. We will bring the most challenging golf course you will see all year. Welcome to the Preferred Lines podcast. This show is brought to you entirely by the good people over at Rotoballer. The promo code is LINES, LINES. That will get you 10% off any weekly, monthly, yearly, lifetime subscription if you'd like. I'm sure they'll make plenty of exceptions there. I post 4 articles a week there. You get Spencer, you get the Model Maniac, Joe Nicely. We got live guys. We got course preview guys. There's like 25 pieces of content that are coming out of that website this week. All valuable. Take what you want. It's like a buffet. It's like the Golden Corral. You want steak, you go to the Model Maniac. You want salmon, you go to Spencer. You want some scraps, you come here. We're happy to have you. Pumped to bring on my guest here. Let's do it right now. Fired up to talk U.S. Open Week. It's been a rough week for your boy, so I had to bring back some good quality mojo from the last time we did a major show together. Founder of the TourJunkies, one half of the undisputed tag team champions of golf content, a real OG in the space, a legend, an even better person and friend. Happy to have you back on the show. DB, what's up, dude?
How we doing, Mr. Joe Idoni? Thanks for having me, buddy. That's a very nice intro. You're a good friend as well. And props to you. And, dude, when you think about all the content coming out on Rotoballer, F me to tears. Like, you guys are writing like 15,000 words a week over there on Rotoballer. It's
unbelievable. The crew is working extremely hard over there. We've got good people. I know some people that you've interacted with and have helping you guys out as well. Love the TourJunkies, always have. But DB, I see you got the Prison Scoot shirt on. I know you changed up the strategy a little bit last week. We get another extreme, supreme Scottie Scheffler win. 5 in the last 3 months, on and on and on. Big boy fields, majors, Siggies, it doesn't matter. I know you bet him last week. Are we in like a new world of golf betting where we have to retrain and rewire our brains to figure out how to bet golf anymore?
I mean, it only took me 4 of his wins to get on the train and finally just get pissed off enough to get one of my favorite sayings, and I got kids, you got kids.
Yeah.
Us dads have sayings that we say all the time. If I said this right now, my kids would be like, oh, you did finish the sentence for me. One of my favorite sayings, and this is a great saying, and I don't know who said it, but is change occurs when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of change. And boy, was I sick of staying in the pain of just trying to figure out who's going to win a golf tournament other than Scottie Scheffler and it not happening and just pissing away units. And so I had to find a way to parlay him according to my big ball self-imposed rules. But I did bet him. I did cash out on the parlay. So yeah,
who let you down on the parlay, Rory?
Rory, and that was after. Let me tell you, the Corey Connors sweat. The Corey Connors top.
Oh my God!
30,
don't even get me started.
Top 30 sweat on Sunday was unbelievable, and I was dog cussing that mother. I had already written down the amount of feet in birdie or par putts he had missed on Sunday. He missed a 3.5 footer for par. I'm watching the top 30 Corey Connors disappear, right? And that fool birdie 17, chips in for birdie. How else can Corey Connors birdie a hole other than he's got to hit it in with something other than his putter? He chips in on 17 to easily cash the top 30. And then I'm like, I got to get Rory in the top 10. And when he started off pretty flat, I kind of was like, he's either going to come out swinging, late backdoor top 3 Sunday Rory, or he's just going to be flat. And when he came out flat, I was like, I'm taking it. I need some units. I'm taking it. Thank you, Scottie.
I need the units. I wish I would have taken it and followed suit with you. Did a show with our boy Byron, who's in here. What's up, Byron? Last week, and I tried to sell him hard on Corey Connors being inside my top 10. Woke up Friday morning, went to play a little golf. Corey Connors is in first freaking place.
Yeah.
I play like 9 holes, and he's like 9 back all of a sudden. And that's the Corey Connors experience. He's going to give you that top 30 backdoor sweat from week to week, but he's never really a threat to win. Scottie is. So how do you go about betting Scottie Scheffler? You've got to parlay him with 1, 2 other pieces to try to juice it up to something that's like a familiar betting number that we're used to in golf, because I can't get behind 3, 4 to 1. I tried it a couple of weeks ago. I'm like you, dude. I'm changing things up. I'm emptying out the tank in terms of what I'm used to, and I just can't seem to get home.
Listen, dude, I'm banging him every which way, sideways, upside down, reverse cowgirl, all the thing. I'll be whatever I got to do. I'll hit him straight up now at 3:30. Like once you kind of dip in and you're like, God, this feels nice to sit here on a Sunday and be like, I know, I knew Morikawa was not running him down. I knew it. Like I had all the confidence in the world, and I haven't had that feeling on a Sunday in a long time. So, other than a live event, which I can do, but it feels so nice. So I'm going to have him straight up. I got him on a big balls parlay at 20. I juiced him up to 25 to 1 with a few options. I'm probably going to pair him up with another sport to kind of get him to like a set. I'm going to have him everywhere. And when I don't have him, I'm betting the winner outright market without him, without Scheffler. I know everybody in the content game is having the same conversation and saying the same thing, man, but there's literally, he is just this place is so good for him. And I know a lot of places are good for him, but this is better than a lot of those places. It just is. So I gotta be in again.
It's just like, I struggle with it because we're in the content game too. We're not just about hitting winners, and there really is no content behind picking him, which is the big, so I do an hour-long podcast. I do models. I do everything last week. I put in all this work. I think I've got all these picks solid. I've got good reasons for everyone. And I'm on, I got the buddies group golf text with like 16 guys from our trip every year. And my one buddy comes in Friday off the top ropes with a banger huge Scottie 2 to 1 ticket and feels like a freaking genius that he took him live plus 205. And I'm spending all this oxygen and energy on trying to find a winner. And it just seems so simplistic. It has made our lives very simple. I was looking back at the 2014. I was trying to find any betting previews for the 2014 US Open. You Google that, you're going to find like 2 articles, DB. The amount of content there is now compared to 10 years ago is unbelievable. But when you look at those sort of previous 2 majors that were held here, Mike Campbell, Marty Keimer, they've got a combined outside of the majors 1 PGA Tour win between them. Does that give you any hope for like maybe this is a course where the best player isn't always going to win and it's just freaking random? Or is Scottie just on another level for you that it's still worth taking?
No, of course. I mean, listen, even at the number that he's at, it's only a 25% implied odds chance he's winning. Right? Like, so you could tell your buddy that, you could say, listen, if we do this 100 times, I bet I come out and I get to take the field, I'm going to be ahead of you. Right? Yeah. The thing with Pinehurst, based on all my research, and you've done a lot of research, is obviously I think that it's going. There's going to be a ton of cream at the top, but there is some variance. Like if he does hit, he's not going to hit every fairway. So right, like he's going to. We've seen stuff where like in this Wiregrass, you could just have your balls could be 6 inches apart. We call them shower balls, right? And when you and your playing partner hit your balls this close, and you go, I haven't seen balls that close since I got out of the shower this morning. And you could have shower balls, and Scottie be boned like somewhere deep in the Wiregrass or something be, and the one next to him just be laying on the sand like that close. So yeah, a lot of weird stuff could happen with that Wiregrass stuff at Pinehurst, but. Scottie has all the weapons as well to get out of trouble, and the thing that I know people are talking about, but like, aside from just the physical attributes, Ted Scott, like This whole thing, this whole concoction, this whole gumbo is effing elite at
Special.
everywhere you look. Mental game, perspective, strokes gained home life, attitude, appropriately aggressive, appropriately conservative, great game plan, great caddy, great, everything. And then the physical ability that he has. Like, it's just all there. So if anybody can get out of that trouble and bypass even the variance of Pinehurst, it's Scottie. But yeah, I mean, you could have a guy you could have Eric Compton of 2014. Like, when I looked back at the leaderboard, I'm like, Eric Compton. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have
who?
You could have Seamus Power right there on Sunday, and Scottie hits it in the wiregrass shower ball situation. Seamus comes out better, and Seamus Power is your U.S. Open champion.
Yeah. The wiregrass is a weird, interesting variable that this place throws in with no ref. Because even at Muirfield last week, like, if he missed a fairway, he's in the rough. It's predictable. It's 4-inch thick, gnarly rough everywhere from 250 yards to 350 yards, no matter where you hit it. It's just the additional chance thrown into the equation where the outcome becomes less predictable, making it a compelling reason for me to continue to be wrong, fading Scottie Scheffler. But
well, like I
average
said,
winning score.
The market without Scheffler is still available, Jeff.
Yes. I have some bets. We'll get to that in a second. I was going to ask you just a couple more questions about the course. Yeah. Average winning score of the last 20 U.S. Opens is -4 under par. And keep in mind, that's with a couple ridiculous ones in there, like Rory Congressional and Brooks Aaron Hills, where they went nuclear. A couple outliers. 8 of those have been U.S. Opens where they failed to break par. Now, the last 5 years, average winning score is -8.2, nothing worse than -6. Like, if it's really hard, here's my thing with Pinehurst this year is I think the USGA kind of has like a hall pass, like a free pass at this place, because the players are coming into it knowing what they're going to expect. They know it's going to be really hard. So the expectation level is already there. It's not an LACC or the country club where they may be like a little nervous about some of the criticism with it not being at that event. They're already locked into this place moving forward. And the door is kind of open to create a good bit of carnage and reinvigorate some of the identity of this tournament. And you already got players sort of bitching about it. I imagine Thursday and Friday play easier just because there's 156 guys. Like, they can't beat them up too bad. But Saturday and this weekend, with there being absolutely zero rain in the forecast, there's nothing to protect this course from getting really, really on the fringe. What do you think for winning score this week? Do you think, like, how many guys do you think break par?
I was just looking. I threw out I threw out last year at LACC because I just think, like you said, they were a little surprised by how things went. The 3 years prior to that, between the year Fitzpatrick, Rahm, and Bryson won, 22 total guys broke par. 22. Pebble Beach in 2019, I think you kind of toss out. And then you're getting into like the change of command at the USGA and like the change of them trying to kind of so I don't think you go too far back. I think they want this to be a thing where most guys don't finish under par at the end of round 4, but if someone is just playing their dick off, like Bryson in 2020 or Keimer in 2014, then they can really separate themselves. I saw earlier today on Twitter, one of the super sharp books or whatever posted 4.5 under as the over-under winning total. You've already got guys coming out today. You had Wyndham Clark talking about how fiery it is. So could it get to 5 under? Yeah, but I bet if it does, there's only I bet there's less than 10 people that are actually total under par.
Yeah, I would probably say that. I even think it may be harder than that. I think we may be looking at like less than 5 guys under par. I think someone has the chance, like you said, to go full Keimer and finish 5, 6, 7 under par. But I would be surprised if there's very many behind him, given the way this thing's going to play. I want to let a couple more notes on the course here. I'll give a little course preview. Okay.
God, you're so dialed. Your show is so dialed. Your intro always fires me up, but look, you're just your little smooth transitions and your big God, Joe, you're just
Dude, I'm trying, man. That was a little delay there. Kind of threw me off. Okay, Pinehurst, number 2. Back in the host role for the 124th U.S. Open. 2024, we talked about Keimer. 2005, Mikey Campbell. 1999, Payne Stewart fist pumped his way to a one-stroke win over Phil Mickelson. An electric U.S. Open in their first time hosting. Probably the best piece of American golf course work from the famed Donald Ross. Course opened in 1908 when he finished the second 18. Ross obviously grew up in Scotland, brought many of those distinctive characteristics and dropped them inside the heart of North Carolina. Ahead of the 2014 U.S. Open, major restoration took place at the hands of Bill Coore and Ben Crenshaw. They removed the sharpness from like some of the bunkering. They brought back a natural, rugged look. They scraped off the edge of these greens. So now what were they? Turtleback, upside down cereal bowls. I've heard all kind of references. They kind of gave these greens a little. They're a little like gave them a little BBL. You know what I'm saying? A little BBL drizzy. They kind of just they got a nice little hump, a nice little shape to them.
Yeah.
Very tough to find a landing area. There's so much curves on these bad boys. It's really fucking hard, guys. Since that last U.S. Open, we've now got Ultra Dwarf Muta. Sand underneath them makes them a little bit less grainy from what I've heard. Firm, fast, some fuckery. Like it's all going down on these greens. It's what the course is all about. 7,540 yards. I think it's like 2 yards shorter than Augusta National. So I've heard some content this morning of people being, yeah, it's not going to be like the brute of U.S. Opens past. It's still a really long golf course. 8 par 4s over 470. 4 will play over 500 yards. Interesting start to the course. And I think it's very important for guys to get off to that good start because number 1 and number 3 are easy holes, sub 400 yard par 4s. But between them, 2 and 4 are absolute brutes. 500 yard par 4s. And then you get 5, which is your birdie hole. And after that, it just beats you up left and right. 10 is a 617 yard par 5. The closing stretch is absolutely brutal. Here's what Bill Coore said. The best part is I think you'll see a huge variety of approach and recovery shots. He said this ahead of the 2014 U.S. Open. Guys will have opportunities to hit the most spectacular shots you've seen. People watching on television are going to be sitting there saying, what the heck was it? It's going to challenge the best pros in the world, perplex them, puzzle them, frustrate them like a course that we probably haven't seen in a few years. And I kind of hope that we get that. Do you have anything there, DB, to add and things you're looking for?
One of my favorite things, I know the Fried Egg put out a great video over all the changes done. One of my favorite things Bill Coore said, but I think he said it, I think he was quoting someone else, is he said, when Pinehurst especially is firm and fast, you don't count the number of greens you hit, you count the number of greens you visit. And I think that is a great quote, first of all. But if it's firm and fast and you have these small, like you said, cereal bowl, hood of a Buick greens, right? Turtleback greens, you're going to miss them. And so you got to have every aspect of the game, including the short game. And I do think there's a little bit of a Bermuda boy edge. You mentioned the Ultra Dwarf Bermuda. I don't think on the greens it's as big of a deal, but even though it's not like super grainy, it seems very well manicured. But all the short grass around the greens, I think having a little bit more comfort chipping off a tight Bermuda is going to be an edge. So the Bermy boys get a little bump in my book.
Yeah, and I was watching Johnson Wagner chunk a 60-degree
Did he do that
live
today?
from. Oh yeah, dude, Johnson's already out. Dude, he's he's been having nightmares about Pinehurst too since his last exhibition.
Shank at the PGA was
yeah, dude, he's worried. So, but the thing with this is a 10 handicappers preview on grainy Bermuda chipping. It's weird, DB. You have to, and you know this, like you almost have to like swing when it's into you. You have to hit it harder than you think you're going to hit it because it almost pulls your club to a stop. And that's weird for players. It sometimes requires them to over accelerate, which means they blade it. I still think the best in the world will continue to use those wedges, but a lot of the non-best in the world we're just going to putt it. And that may be okay. Like I was looking at the Keimer year, and I
Yeah.
think 5 of the top 8 were like not good around the green players. So like I know everyone wants to factor that in to a stat model this week, but there just aren't many courses that you're pulling data from that share similar characteristics to the same type of chips you're going to be required to have at Pinehurst.
It's one reason why I love Bet the Number, because you can filter it
Got
by
it up right here.
fairway chipping or short grass chipping. So I put it in the model, and I zoomed out a little more long term. I went like 50 rounds long term, just to catch as much as I could from the short grass chipping. I do think that helps a little bit. I mean, you're right though. Keimer putted from everywhere. He was Texas wedging it from everywhere in 2014, and even today, I think you had Webb mentioned he in his presser today that he got a lesson from Chesson Hadley on using his 3-wood from
I saw
around
Morikawa. They were
around the
showing
green.
him using
Yeah,
a hybrid or something a lot.
yeah. So I mean, I think you're right. Like but again, like if you're a Bermuda boy and you're comfy chipping off that stuff, like you're gonna get to do what you're comfortable doing. I mean, I know for me, and I think even for these guys who are pros, I mean, yeah, they're good, but they don't hit 3-wood or hybrid,
No.
15, 20-yard bump and runs very often. So I would still rather lean on the guys who I think this will make the best chippers better. In other words,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, it does give you options to be creative for sure. So if you suck at chipping and you know that, then you have 3 days to figure it out, so
Yeah.
you don't have to use your wedge.
And I think it's important to have a resource, like you mentioned at Bet the Number, where you can filter out and look at only short grass stuff, because some of the data can be confused. Like if you're looking at how a player chipped
Yep.
at Valhalla, it's not really going to be beneficial for you. If you're looking at how someone chipped last week at Muirfield Village, I don't really think there's much to draw there either. I'd be looking at places like Augusta. I'd be looking at places
Yes.
like Colonial short grass areas. From what they redid a few weeks ago, was actually a really good, like, grainy test. Some stuff at the Sony I've seen, some stuff at PGA, TPC Sawgrass, like these type of courses that give you options that have a better way of separating the best players on the green. Like when looking back at those pieces, a lot of everyone was tipping in the 2014 piece Phil for this exact reason. They're like, Phil, he's not been very good around the greens this year, but we just know eyeball tests, like who's the best chipper in the world. It's Phil. And like obviously comes in and runs up a top 4 at that event coming in. And like there are some guys like Cam and some guys, and we'll mention a few of them later, that you don't necessarily need to pull strokes gain data from. You're just like,
You
I
just
know
know.
this dude
Yeah.
has a set of mitts on him that I can trust.
Yep. 100%. Couldn't agree more.
All right, let's hit some board. Scottie Scheffler plus 335 coming off a victory, looking for a historic run in summer of 2024. Right behind him, though.
Put it in my veins, Joe. Put it in my veins. All right, sorry.
You got Prison Scoot. That's an option.
Mhm.
Okay. I want to ask you about the other option, though. Who's number 2 right now in the world? Like, who's your number 2 guy? Do you go Rory or do you go Xander? If you had to pick one and they're the same price, who's playing better? Who do you like better and think has a better chance at the U.S. Open?
I mean, I've definitely taken my shots at both of these guys in the last 12 to 24 months. But honestly, I think it's hard to argue against Xander right now. The guy feels like he's leveled up his entire game. It feels like big monkey off his back from the PGA win. I'd expected him to come in a little flat at Memorial. He didn't have his best ball striking and still figured it out and got a T8. We know Xander kind of enjoyed his win, and as he should have. But I think last week was just kind of a let me see what's happening. Let me do my thing and go from there. I think it's Xander. So I think at 11-1, Xander would be the next one off the board for me, and then I jump down.
Completely agree with you there. It's Xander. He's just better than Rory right now.
Yeah.
He's plenty long. He's barely behind him. He's hitting 64% of fairways over the last 25 rounds. Rory's hitting 54%. He's been a significantly better iron player basically for the last 4 or 5 years, but it's really been accentuated. He's number 1 in greens in regulation from 200 plus. He's got better scrambling numbers. He's second behind only Scottie Scheffler in the field in bogey avoidance, and he's just a lot better putter than Rory. Of all the guys at the top, he's probably the best putter of the bunch, and he's a significantly good ball striker as well. Like if Scottie wasn't him, like we'd be talking about what could be a really great year for Xander if he was able to hold on to, say, maybe that Players Championship, string together another major, and like the numbers and the stats in the top 10 consistency rate that he's doing it week in and week out is something we would have a lot more appreciation for, I think, in other years.
Yep. Couldn't agree more. I mean, statistically and from a results standpoint, he just feels like a better player right now than Rory. He doesn't have the name cachet. He doesn't have the swag. And before the PGA, we would have said, no way, we don't trust him to close. But I think 7 out of the last 10 winners at the U.S. Open have also been first-time winners. And Wyndham proved last year, too. You don't have to have a ton of experience to get it done. Even though he's only won one and Rory's trying to win that next one, like I'd still trust Xander more at this moment.
Yeah, he's leveled up, like you said.
Yeah.
Right behind them on the board, Colin Morikawa is 16-1 is the best number. I actually saw a little while ago, I was looking at the no Scottie Scheffler market, and he's 13-1 there, which I thought was intriguing. So he actually has, I think, the best value in terms of his with Scottie market to without, only losing 3 points there off the top. So I joined you on the TJ Wednesday night chat before Valhalla, and I kind of ripped Morikawa's chances. Pat loved him, and I was like, dude, he's just not hitting his irons well. Totally proved me wrong, and I'm willing to admit it. He gained 5 again on a.
I think I was in agreement with you at that point too. But
he's flipped the switch, man. 4 top 4s in his last 7 starts. But do you worry if the scoring is really difficult? Like, is he a difficult conditions guy? We know he doesn't love the win. All of his wins have been at least 18, like under par as an average score. Even the 2 majors he won was at -13, -15. Like, you think he's got that in him to like win a tournament at -4? Or is that a real thing?
He probably does, but I mean, up here we're splitting hairs, right? And I don't think I want it here. You know, I think the Wells Fargo is an interesting comparison because you had a really long golf course, a lot of mid long irons, and you had brand new, really firm greens.
Yeah.
And he did not do great in terms of approach play. When you look at the key proximity distances from that mid and long iron range, the greens in regulation from 200 yards out, he's not great. He doesn't hit the ball very high. So like he's not going to be able to bring it in high, land it soft on the turtlebacks, on the cereal bowls. That could be a problem. The scrambling does look like it's improved for sure. It does look like his around the green game is improved. But if I'm splitting hairs, I think I'm going to pass here on Morikawa. But I could see him in a world without Scheffler potentially. But even his post round presser on Sunday, did you hear that? Like he kind of talked about how even mentally he felt like inferior to Scheffler, not just physically. He's just kind of, I don't know. Like,
I know. I think a lot of them are feeling that. And it's weird that he like strikes this fear into people because he's not doing it in a way that we saw Tiger do it or Brooks do it with like alpha dominance. Like I'm kind of a brash asshole and like arrogance. But they still fear the crap out of him. Like they're watching him like they know what he can do. And every shot that he takes, it seems like players are gathering around to watch. And they're just listening to the way they talk about it. I listened to Adam Hadwin like gushing about him on the range after Saturday, after his round with him. And yeah, you definitely get some of that with Morikawa, which I don't love to see. And he's just so far behind, man. Like Scottie was hitting that hybrid or 4-wood or whatever he has, like past Morikawa. And yeah, he's in the fairway, but he's great with his long irons, so be it. But how much do you have to make up when you're hitting every shot from an extra 25 yards behind?
So I had a really sharp player. In fact, he played in the 2014 U.S. Open at Pinehurst. He said the key to winning Pinehurst is going to be hitting 50 or more greens in regulation. That is the key. So, which obviously like Morikawa is gonna be a top dog, but yeah, like when you're hitting 7 and 6 irons and other guys and you're hitting them low, And other guys like Scottie, like Xander up here, like another name that we're going to give out here, I bet in a minute, they're hitting less club, higher loft, soft. Like if they just hit a few more greens in reg than you, it's going to be a razor thin margin. So, like I said, we're
Yeah.
splitting hairs up here. Morikawa was playing great. You can't deny that for sure. But
Yeah.
I'm out on the outright market.
All right, let's do the Bryson thing. The obvious concern jumping off the page is, can he chip well enough?
Yeah,
I worry about this, DB,
I
but
do too.
I'm a little I'm hopeful based on some stuff that I saw today from a statistical thing. Look, I think that he's just constantly in a state of evolving as a
Yeah,
player, and it's hard to like think, oh, the Bryson that we saw in 2020, 2021 is like still the guy, because he's not. He's on like Bryson V4. He keeps updating the software and he's getting better at it. And he performed really well on courses with really low greens and regulation rates. And this is what point I kind of wanted to bring up around him is, although the chipping surfaces are different, which I understand as an animal, a lot of these courses have very thick rough. You're still looking at courses where guys on average are hitting 55, 54% of the greens. He won at API, one of the hardest green and regulation courses on tour with Bermuda. He's won at the Shriners, which is a lot of like sandy shortgrass areas. He's won at Memorial, which is a really hard course to hit greens in regulation. Dell Technologies up there was a Gil Hands redesign with a bunch of short grass that he won on. He's won in Dubai. He's won at Donald Ross in Detroit. Like the around the green stats were decent in Adelaide when he played in Australia earlier this year. I think that maybe we aren't giving him as much credit as maybe he deserves from around the green. And one thing when I noted back in Valhalla when I took him and watched him really closely, he putted from off the green quite a few times. He made one with a thunderous fist pump from off the green. So maybe it's something that he feels comfortable with where he can do that. And he is a really good lag putter because he judges everything. He understands he could probably like tell you the exact distance he is from the hole, like better than any other player when he's beyond 50 feet. He knows his distances. He understands all the physics behind it. And if he's able to putt some of those where he's really short-sighted, I think that could potentially help him. And he's still the longest. He's not quite as long as he was 2 years ago, but he's still going to have the top carry distance in the entire field. And he's ready. I'm like kind of coming around on him as the personality as well. Definitely at Valhalla with getting sort of the crowd involved was really exciting to see. So I don't know if I'm ready to bet it, but I'm just excited for a chance to maybe see him like flash up the leaderboard again.
I had him at Valhalla with you, man. He's had an impressive, the leap he made at Augusta this year was impressive. He did it without scrambling. In the last 5 years at Augusta National, he's not gained strokes around the green. And, if you look at his tight grass chipping, it's not great. I do think that he could use some of that creativity that I think he does have that he doesn't get credit for because he's so scientific in a lot of ways. And I think in some ways the YouTube stuff he's doing is probably helping him. Like you have to be creative to do some of the stuff he's doing. You know what I mean? Like
playing with junior clubs.
Yeah, like in a low so he's not like super, let me calculus this whole thing out, figure out how to do it. He's actually using some feel and he's using some creativity. And I know you know what I mean? Like, so maybe it's going to help him, but I definitely see him being one who we will see take potentially the Keimer approach or maybe the Webb Simpson mentioned approach today, where if he thinks that he could do better without a wedge in his hand when he misses a green, I could see him trying to make that happen. I don't think I want him outright, but I do think Bryson is a contender here. So if you like Bryson, you want to bet Bryson, go for it, but I'm not going to get there.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, if it's firm and fast, guy can probably hit a 4-iron close to 300 yards. And like
100%.
he's not the type of like power cleanup Albert Bell hitter that's just going to swing for the fences every time. Like he's actually quite calculated in his core strategy. Like he almost won at TPC Sawgrass, like not taking driver off the tee. He nearly did it at Heritage, like early in his career. I think that he understands that the mental aspect and the challenge of golf, I think will intrigue him a little bit at Pinehurst more than it would at like a place like Valhalla that's kind of more point and shoot. I think that he gets into this kind of stuff. And if he chooses the right strategy, I think that he'll be there. It's just, it's kind of like Winged Foot, he picked right. You know what I mean? At Valhalla, he picked right. It's just, can he do it on this type of course? And it's sort of yet to be seen. This next group,
dude, he hit the dang junior Walmart driver 285 with a 3-yard
dude.
draw. That whole damn video. Like you
He's
don't
like
think
trying to break 50 for the dude. It's fun. It's
you
fun.
don't think you can get his
Coming around.
4-iron 285 on and then watch it roll 25 yards on Pinehurst? You're crazy. I bet he can.
All right. 3 names here coming up right off the next. Hovland, Koepka, Aberg. Studs, power, should be dominant tee to green. If you had to pick one of them with the best chance to prove themselves and win a U.S. Open of the 3, who you got there?
This year it's Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ludwig is close, closer than people may still believe, or maybe people are all buying are now buying. I think it's still Brooks though right now. Like Brooks is the one I trust. He's the U.S. Open guy, at the moment. I know he underperformed at Augusta, underperformed at the PGA, but I'm buying Brooks. He just shot 7 under on this final round in Houston, which I like to see that because he was kind of flat before that. I mean, totally. I know he won Sentosa the week before the PGA and then kind of came out flat, but he's hitting it well. High, great total driver off the tee, high iron shots, some touch around the green that probably goes overlooked and underrated a lot.
Yep.
And he knows how to close the door. Give me Brooks.
Great points. Same with you. I'm on Brooks. He's the first person on my car. I took a 24-1. I think there's 25s out there now. I also bet 16-1 in the non-Scottie market on Brooks. Yeah. So what's holding him back right now is the putter. Ever since he switched to this mallet, and it's Claude Harmon in his ear, and I don't know what he's telling him, but like shelve that fucker and bring back out the blade. Like he's got he's driving it great. And I followed his driving stuff really closely in Houston. Number 1 in fairways in the entire field at Live Houston, hitting it like 312 off the tee on average in those firm conditions and leading the entire tournament in fairways. Driving it great. The iron play is good enough. Around the green game is underrated, but the biggest thing is unflappable and really, you know what? He kind of does show frustration at times, but he does a great job of channeling that into positive results for his game. So everyone's going to catch bad breaks this week. I think you have to go into that understanding it, and it's ultimately probably how you deal with those circumstances that are either going to lead you to ejecting or bounce back birdies on the next hole. And I think that he's kind of got that in him. Frustrated by the first 2 majors. Ludwig, I'm worried about the meniscus, man. That's not a great injury. That's actually what Brooks was dealing with a few years ago when he couldn't bend down on the green. He tore his meniscus. It's not easy to get through, especially on your left knee on something you've got to pivot. He's, of course, amazing. I just think there will be better spots for him. And I like Brooks. I think he's more adept around the greens than Hovland. So that's my spot.
I'm with you. Total agreement.
Rombo, not showing up on premises today, not arriving tomorrow, apparently. Poor Rombo's like really down, man. Really down. This guy's got a cut between the toes. He thought he was going to be back playing PGA Tour events. He can't win on Live, but he's up to 35-1. And I feel like we could maybe see a 40 before weeks. Is there anything that would make you bet John Rahm?
He's definitely drifted, hasn't he? Pat was pontificating on our DFS show that maybe he's a toe picker, and I was like, well, I don't understand what a toe picker is. What do you mean? And he explained it to me. And I said, this sounds like someone who is also a toe picker, and he actually confessed that Pat is also a toe picker. So
like he picks his toenails, or what's he mean by that?
He has like scaly feet, and he picks the skin and the scales off his feet. I was like, this is freaking disgusting. Anyway,
get a little lotion on them dogs,
dude. I mean, Rom, you got 500 million in the bank. I don't know. Try getting a petty. Just go get a petty. God, I mean, 40. If he drifts out to 40, that is really interesting. I mean, even at 33, I'm kind of like, that's not terrible. I mean, in terms of a guy who could close and who probably has at this point now has a chip on his shoulder. Has Rom ever really had to have a chip on his shoulder?
I thought he would have the chip at Augusta,
I know.
and I was all over him.
But you're defending champ for the first time at Augusta,
Yeah,
and you're
I
doing all the
know.
things and all that stuff. I don't know. Like it's an
But he
interesting
kind of
spot.
pussed out, dude. It was like
But the chip
I
gets bigger the worse he performs since he left Live.
I wanted him like here's what I thought John Rahm would do. I think that he would take all that animosity and like energy from the people around him in the room in Augusta and like channel that into like
Yeah.
screw you guys, like I'm gonna come out here and like dominate. And instead he was like my feelings were kind of hurt, like guys were mean to me. The other guys were mean to me in the locker room, DB. And like he kind of said the same thing at the PGA where he felt weird at Augusta and it was awkward. Like I don't want to hear it, dude. You took 500 million. Like be at peace with it. Go out there and use the chip for better. Maybe he's still got it here and everyone's sort of doubting him. And the numbers, obviously, the best. Like, if you give this to me a month ago, I think every one of us are running to take it. But I
If
don't
he
think there's anything that could put me on him this week.
if somehow he gets like a 40 in the without Scheffler market, I
Mhm.
think I'll have to take it.
How about our guy Cam?
I'm out.
Because I
I'm out.
have not bet this yet, DB, but maybe you can like sell me on it if you're in it. I just was terrible in Houston. I think he was 7 over in a 4-hole stretch. His driving is atrocious. He lost 6 strokes off the tee out there. Still gained 2.3 around the green, gained 6 at Valhalla, gained 5.5 at Augusta, crushed it at Adelaide around the green. He's got the touch. He's a shot maker. Guts, like hands so soft. He could be driving a white minivan, but like I just don't know if I'm feeling like things are fully geared up right now for Cam Smith. Like I would like them to be at 45 to 1.
So through Houston, Cam is 49th on. Sorry, wait a minute. He's hitting 49% of his fairways on Live. And actually, he is also 49th. I was right. He's 49th out of 55 that are ranked in fairways hit. So he's still doing what we've known him to do, which is spray the ball all over the place. Okay.
Mhm.
But I think what people would be shocked to find out is through Houston at Live, out of 55 people in the scrambling statistic, he is 26th.
Hmm.
He's getting up and down 61% of the time. Louis Oosthuizen leads at 74. Paul Casey at 71. Taylor Gooch at 70. All right, let's look at the best Live stat. I mean, they have strokes gained. They haven't put it up on their site yet, but they have greens in regulation, which is the next best thing we can look at for iron play. Cam Smith, out of 55 golfers, greens and regulations so far through Houston, he is 35th, hitting 68% of his greens at Live tournaments. Like against a Live field, he's 35th. I don't think there's any way that we bet him to win. And I know the last time you and I did a show for the major of preferred lines, we nailed it at the Open Championship. I felt like it was me, you versus the world in that week because everyone had damn Rory or Young or Hovland or whatever it was, and me and you were the only ones on Twitter going, "Come on, Cam!"
Yeah.
But I just don't think we can run it back, man. And I understand the Pinehurst allure and the short game allure and the long term allure of Cam Smith. Is it in there? 100% it's in there. It is. Could he just show up and have it? Yes. But I'm not willing to bet him outright given what he's done at this point. When there's other names in the spot that I would far prefer and have proven way more against stiffer competition so far in 2024.
Feels like he's going to make too many bogeys, which is
Yeah.
a problem for me.
Yeah.
Who are the other names? You mentioned someone else like sort of in this range. Who are you talking about?
Hideki's I mean, I pounded him. I put him in the Discord early on Monday. He's 35 to 1 without Scheffler. He's one of the few that I like. He's one of the few I like in the straight up market that we're looking at now at 45. He's one of the few. Just because, I mean, it's like Brooks, Hideki. Like, I need those types that could go toe to toe with Scottie. And there's arguably nobody better right now around the green than Hideki. We know that the iron play can be elite. He just checks a lot of boxes for me. I'm all about it. I'm in on Hideki.
Love it. Yeah, hands awesome. Here's another guy with really underrated short game that I took. I can't believe I'm doing a show here and I'm like exclusively talking about the non-Scheffler market, but that's where we're at. 33-1 in the non-Scheffler market. I thought was a good price because he's like 35 and 40 in other spots. Top 5 in the stat model I ran. Great in U.S. majors. Last 10 majors, all of them since 2022. He's missed one cut. He's got 4 top 5s. He's got 7 top 10s. I'm talking Tommy Ladd Fleetwood. Just hits a ton of fairways.
Yeah.
Great, like not even good. He's great around the green and especially out of the sand. Number 1 in scrambling on the PGA Tour over the last 30 rounds played that I got over here on BTN. Number 1, Tommy. Number 2, Hideki. And also number 3 is Xander for the scrambling records, last 30 rounds. So 33-1. I don't know that he can win, but I think maybe that opens it up a little bit. If Scheffler runs away with it, it would be classic for like Tommy to T2 here and lose by 8.
But remember, 7 first-time major winners out of the last 10 years, U.S. Open.
Yeah. If Xander can do it, it's kind of emboldened me to like some
Dude,
of these guys.
Wyndham Clark can do it. And I know LACC was weird, but if Wyndham Clark can do it, a lot of people here can do it, including Tommy Ladd. I said that last week about him at Memorial. I was like, I feel like when Tommy does it, it might just be a big one.
Any interest in Justin Thomas?
Nope.
Okay, me neither.
Nope.
Homa?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I did write down Homa in the without Scheffler market at 40-1. I don't want him with Scheffler because he's struggling. Like long term, really good total driver. Short term, he's having a problem finding fairways. He's hitting like 49% of his fairways. I don't love that. He's still hitting his irons really well. Underrated, always been, I think, an underrated short game, but really good touch around the greens. I like that for Homa. Had his best major performance at Augusta a couple months ago. So he's not quite sharp enough that I want to take him in the Scheffler market. So I'll take him at 40 without him.
Okay. I think I might get behind Sahith. Okay. I know that he's really bad around the greens, but when I look at like the tournaments, a lot of them featured that really thick rough. Good in Scottsdale, just starting to get experience and quality reps under his belt. I think he was in the second to last group at the PGA Championship. Had a little decent run at the Masters 2 years ago, second at the RBC Heritage this year, just T12 in Memorial, nearly won the Century, another top 5 in Phoenix. Like he's shown up to enough of these big field events where the comfort zone could be there. And I think it may be one of those guys where the around the green stats aren't telling the full story, because I know that to be one of the absolute strengths of his game early on in his career. And maybe a spot like this can kind of reinvigorate and ignite some of that, bring some of that out of him, where I think that he does have really good touch. He has really good imagination and hands and creativity to be able to pull different shots off when they're needed to be done. If things go right for him, I've seen up to 70-1. I think that could be a good price. The interesting one besides Sahith, I was curious on your opinion on, have you seen anything on Live from positive from the Tyrrell Hatton camp? Because that's a nice little number at 80-1. I think you could get that up to 90 or 100. And I just know him from his PGA Tour days as the guys who crushes it consistently around the green. And I would think a course like this could really frustrate him and he would eject and start complaining about the course. But then I remember he's won some difficult like European Tour tournament events. He's won he won at Bay Hill, and it was like impossible that year. Where I think he was the only one under par at Bay Hill. Like he complained and bitched about the course, but his ability to hit fairways and scramble around the greens can kind of lift him up in those moments. And I'm willing to deal with the potential of a frustration ejection from Hatton if he's 90-1.
Yeah, 90-1, you can take that risk. Through Houston, he's 39th out of 55 in fairways gained. He's 27th in greens and reg.
Yeah, it's not great.
The scrambling's been pretty good. He's 10th in scrambling. Obviously, he's a really good putter. I don't know. I think at the end of the week, you'd probably look back at yourself and go, "Why did I bet Tyrrell Hatton to win it?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like Tyrrell Hatton. I think he can. What's he done in majors? Like, what's he done in tough majors? Let me go back and look.
I think he just had a decent finish at the Masters, didn't he?
He
Like
did. He finished T9, which I think was definitely his
okay.
best because he
Definitely
struggled
his
at
best.
Augusta. He struggled at Augusta for a long time.
Yeah, he gained 5.4 around the green at the Masters.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, we know the scrambling is pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any other? I mean, like the Open is a hard comp for me. Like people who I will say this, like in my model on Bet the Number, which I did make public for the first time.
Yeah, I saw that. That's very cool.
I left out the Open Championship courses. I think it's kind of foolish to, if you're going to like look at how they've done in majors over the last couple of years, I think the Opens are just so standalone because A, you could have massive wave advantages with weather, and B, I just feel like conditions and style and everything is just so different. So I left that out. I want to look at, I think you said it a minute ago, like US based majors.
Yeah.
I've kind of looked at that, but other than that Masters, like a lot of his best finishes have been at the Open. I guess he had a T6 at the US. Let's see his US Open record. Yeah, T6 back in 2018 was his best US Open record. Dude, I just think if you're bullish on Hatton, maybe this is a top 10, top 20 spot. I think you'd look back and be pissed for wasting the unit on it. Right.
Anyone here in like 100 range worth wasting a unit on? Like,
Okay, I feel like you may have passed the guy I like, but unless he's lengthened.
Who are we talking?
All right. When is the last time you remember Sam Burns winning a golf tournament?
Match play.
Who did he beat in the semis?
Scottie.
I think yes, it was.
Or was that the championship?
It was Scottie. It was one of the best tournaments I've ever handicapped because I had Sam Burns and I had Cam Young in the final.
Cam Young, yep.
And so I was just sitting back like, hell yeah, I'm going to win either way. Okay, hear me out here. If you're talking about a guy who's won multiple times on the PGA Tour, who hits it plenty long, who seems to be improved in the iron department this year so far, really good chipper and putter on Bermuda, has some upside, but it's like if anybody out there is not going to be intimidated by Scottie, I think it could be his best pal, Sam Burns.
They're probably staying in a house together.
They're best bros. They just had babies together. It's going to be Sam's first Father's Day. I didn't even mention that. Like, if you guys think Scottie Scheffler's not winning on his first Father's Day, you're effing kidding yourself too. That's another thing. But it's also Sammy B's first Father's Day. I mean, they literally conceived babies at the same time, damn near the same time. Okay.
Commitment.
Allegedly not with the same woman, but I don't know. Like it just feels it's interesting. Like I could see now, could I see Sammy B completely ejecting? Absolutely. He's a wild card, but I do think he's an interesting one with or without. I saw him in the without Scheffler at 55.
Yeah.
So what do you have him at 75 there with Scheffler?
75. Yeah. In this regular outright market. Yes.
I like it. He's one of my favorites. I have two
Wyndham
more.
Clark, defending champ there. I've got no interest in Wyndham Clark.
No.
Spieth,
didn't sound good today either.
No, he didn't. No, he's already in his own head about it. Spieth's injured, I think, so not really any interest in me. One guy I crossed and I'm like, man, just from eyeball test, I'm like has a ton of really good shots that I can remember with the short game, especially around Augusta earlier in his career, and kind of popped T9 or better in 3 of his last 4 starts. Sungjae Im's like 100-1 in some spots. Like, are we ready to think that he could be back because he's still struggling with the iron play, which is where he hung his hat, but he's starting to hit fairways and really scramble and putt better?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been a noted Sungjae denier over the last little bit. Pat asked me that exact question today. I think I'm still out. But I think that's because I'm typically out. So I'm definitely seeing him flash, which is nice for a time. Well, our boy C in the chat.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great for all you Sungjae people. And I love me some Willie Wilcox as caddy, but I don't think I'm buying Sungjae to win this thing. I have
longest bomb that you think you'll have on DB's Big Balls betting card
in the without Scheffler market, because that's what it's going to be.
Sure.
Can I give you 2? I'm just going to give you 2.
Yeah. Fire away.
I'm going to give you the first one quickly. I'm going to go Billy Ho. He's 110-1 without Scheffler. He's a killer when he's in it. He's going to hit a lot of fairways, going to stay out of trouble, playing nicely, good short game, Bermuda Billy. I'm in on that.
Okay.
At the top of the show, we talked about paying attention to short grass chipping, rough chipping, all that stuff. A guy who, if you look at it, at the Memorial, lost 2.5 strokes chipping at Memorial out of that thick crap. At Augusta, he gained 3.5. You mentioned the Sony as another short grass spot. He gained 2.047 strokes chipping. Iron play has been dialed. Hits it long. Hits it high. Can't putt. Not a big deal when it's possibly a 4 or 5 under situation. And he would be 8 out of the last 11 first-time major winners in his Byung Hun An. Ben On is 80-1 in the without Scheffler market. I don't know what you have in there. Let's see. Where is he? He's probably he's shorter than that. He's shorter.
Okay.
He's in the there he is.
90-1.
90.
Yeah.
I mean, you get him 80-1 without Scheffler. Like,
Yeah, take that. He's 80-1 most of these other places with Scheffler.
I know, right? T16 at the 2019 US Open. Not the greatest major track record, but T16 to the Masters ties his best major finish. I think Ben On is an interesting play. Got to hit some fairways. Got to do that a little better. But other than that, I like him.
Slaying off the tee, Ben On. Had him last week. We'll see if he can run it back. DB, both shows are out. DFS, the course breakdown, the betting show. They're all out for TourJunkies. What do you got the rest of the week lined up, man? Thanks again for coming on the show. Pump your shit.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me. Obviously, a couple emails going out. Chalk Bomb, Heavy Petting. You know all about that work. The Discord chat Wednesday night live. Our boy Byron's going to be in there. If you're hanging out, you got nothing to do, hop in there. We're going to take that one deep. That one's probably going to go to at least 11 Eastern. Pat, get nice and good lubed up by about that 10:15 mark. If you guys want to come in for some entertainment, we'll be doing that. I'm going to do an underdog best ball draft live on Wednesday. Other than that, regular content. Catch us next week at Live Nashville. I know, Joe, you got a few Live fans out there. We'll be on site at Live Nashville next week.
That's awesome. We were early in the Live game, man. Everyone's coming around. 5 years from now, we'll be known as some of the early pioneers of Live golf content.
Yeah.
Awesome for you guys. Enjoy Nash Vegas. Enjoy US Open week. Happy Father's Day, DB. Thanks for coming on the show. We'll talk soon, brother. Good talk.
Thanks, buddy.
Later. All right, guys. Awesome to have my boy back on the show. Hope that you guys enjoy the heck out of this one this week. Final thoughts, and then we'll bounce out of here because I know the Rotoballer PGA show is going to be straight fire coming up in about 5 minutes. Model Maniac Spencer, joined by the legendary Keith Stewart. My boy Keith, I sent him a text earlier today, and I said, dude, you're everywhere. You're on with Gary Williams. You're on with Pat Mayo. You're doing the Rotoballer PGA show. You keep crushing it, Keith. They're going to have an awesome show lined up for you. Listen, here's my final thoughts. I'll keep it short and sweet, but shout out to the golf betting content community. I mentioned earlier when I was talking to DB, looking back for some preview articles, just out of curiosity to see if I can grab any tidbits from the 2014 U.S. Open. Go ahead, Google it, 2014 U.S. Open betting preview. You'll find 2 articles, one by the great Dave Tyndall, who's on a red-hot streak right now for Sky Sports. The other from some guy named, what was his name? Alf Muschietta. Poorly written article for ESPN.com, an awful attempt at someone trying to fake gambling content. We have 25 YouTube videos out right now, including mine. Podcasts have been up for 4 or 5 days. Pat Mayo's going in. My boy Sia's got stuff up. Steve Banford had an awesome preview piece. Tyndall's still doing it. Coley, TourJunkies, Ship It, RPS, Rotoballer team. Every possible option that you could ask for is available to you now. You guys are the best for giving so many of us this opportunity. It's Monday right now with the Rotoballer team. There are already like 7 articles up on the website. The access to information has exponentially grown in the last 10 years. And people that say that golf is sort of dying need to look sort of at the spaces and people that are surrounding the interest levels of the game. And it's you guys, it's me, it's the other people who have outside interests who are coming to the sport because they love it, because they want a little action on it, because they want to consume content that is relative to them and actionable that they can use in the space. A lot of it is regurgitated and redundant. Yes, like my course preview is going to be like exactly the other 6 course previews that you read. But the beauty is you have the ability to choose the voices or the written pieces that are most entertaining to you. Catch the vibe, ride the wave with the dudes, and hope that you all enjoy that. Thank you all for riding with me this episode. I hope that this is part of your thought process in the show. I appreciate your support. As always, it means the world to me. People like you and Fran and Ted and the guys who have stuck with me throughout this show, it is awesome. Share with a friend. Tell a significant other. Name drop me in the buddies group text. I know you got that golf group text. You're looking for tee times. Tell them go check out Preferred Lines. Send them a link to the YouTube show. If you guys are betting golf this week, check out this show. Some bells, no whistles, here every Monday night for you guys talking golf betting for an hour, and I bring a guest alongside me. Good luck. Shout out all the fathers this year. Anyone who has a kid, enjoy it. Take some time with the family. Sit back on the couch. Watch the carnage ensue at Pinehurst. I'll see you all next week. I wish you all the best. Enjoy the U.S. Open. You guys are phenomenal. 5 stars, thumbs up on the way out. Thanks for checking out Preferred Lines. Good luck at the U.S. Open. Peace.